Welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour, where we are here to inspire, enlighten, entertain, and be totally transparent. So we become spirits, right?
Right. That's funny because that's what we're going to talk about today, Marilyn.
How about
you
that?
You are so intuitive.
I am.
You must be like a psychic. A channel. I know there is a difference.
There is a difference. And Spiritual Happy Hour is loosely inspired by A Course in Miracles. And we just want to thank our amazing director, Carl, and the extraordinary maestro, Randy Lunar. Luna. I was trying to think of Emerald. You don't know what we're talking about, but that's okay. We can talk amongst ourselves.
Yeah, if you've ever joined us here for Spiritual Happy Hour, you know this is just kind of how it goes.
It is.
You know, Marilyn, as public speakers, we live in a world full of transparency and straight up vulnerability.
Yes, it is the only place where we really get to air our dirty laundry.
like right now. People are watching us, and some of them are admiring this thing, and other people are mentally criticizing us right now.
Yes, they're saying she should never wear white pants on camera.
Remember what you told me when you first started to teach me how to speak in public? And I was so worried about how I looked and what my clothes were and, did I do my nails today and all those things. Remember what you used to tell me?
I used to tell you that if they're looking at your nails or looking at your dress or your outfit, then you have failed anyway because your message is not getting across to them. They are not listening to what you're saying.
Like right now, if my bra strap shows, so now they can't hear my message.
Well, they may be looking at your bra strap and wondering, oh, what brand is that?
I mean, when you put yourself out there like we do, there's a chance that someone may not like us or what we represent.
That's correct.
And maybe they just don't like my glasses or they don't like my haircut. Who knows? You may be out there watching what we're doing, criticizing every word. And all you can see is how you could probably do it better. Because if you are doing it, it would be different. Criticism, negative feedback. And when it comes in the form of an email, because every once in a while it does, I am often so shocked. I'm amazed at what people will write in an email. And I wonder, would they say that same thing to my face? It used to really bother me, but now I rely on my lessons from the Course in Miracles, and I have a better understanding of the you and I relationship. There's that one piece of negative criticism amongst the sea of positive compliments, and I'd think to myself, why is it that out of all these compliments we've received, all of these people who have told us that we've completely changed their life, I would even bother to focus on that one person who only sees how we could be better. When I was in corporate leadership training, we were taught that if we needed to give constructive criticism, to be sure and couple it with 5 things that were done really well. Something like, hey, Joy, I really love how funny you are and that you seem to always see the glass as half full and how much you love life. And the way you and Marilyn have fun and you laugh together and your courage to take risks and be a solopreneur. But, your bra strap is showing, and so I can't really hear anything that you're saying. Yep, studies show a 5-to-1 ratio of compliments to criticism actually brings out the best in people. Why? Well, we're both emotional and social people, and I would add spiritual too. Positive feedback inspires, invigorates, and motivates people to continually improve. We love positive feedback. Right, Carl? You love to hear what an amazing director you are.
Yep, sure do.
And right, Randy, you're the Maestro Magnifico.
Of course.
Yes, it's the constructive criticism that teaches us. Do you think I could have heard that one comment about my bra strap showing while I was on stage had it not been wrapped with 5 positive things? While negative feedback can be destructive, it still has its place. Number 1, it will definitely get someone's attention. Number 2, it guards against groupthink and complacency. And number 3, it helps those who can hear it, and that's the key, overcome serious weakness. So, how can you deliver some not so fun advice in a beneficial way that it can be heard and not ruin your relationship? With love. With verbal hugs. And you start with 5 good things first before gently delivering the not so good news. I find it also helps to first ask if they'd like some feedback, because most people will say yes when you ask them if they're in the right frame of mind. And if they aren't open to hearing it, it's better to not say it at all. Lesson number 60 in A Course in Miracles is all about feedback. It's about putting what you've learned into practice, putting it to the real life test, and watching how it's received. Because what's showing up in your world is a direct line of feedback to what you are putting out. It's about asking yourself, do people hear me? Can people hear me? Am I good at this relationship thing? Do I have lots of friends and genuine relationships? Because that's where the feedback will show up. Marianne Williamson, in her book, A Return to Love, one of my all-time favorite books, says, relationships are the Holy Spirit's laboratories in which he brings together people who have the maximal opportunity for mutual growth. Think about that. Relationships are assignments made by God. We're drawn towards those who can have the maximum opportunity for our growth. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we always like them, but they present an opportunity for growth, and it's up to us to choose how we see it. The Course says that when we get clear about what our own lessons are in a relationship, where we ourselves have barriers to love, where we ourselves are not thinking as God thinks, but rather judging the perfect child of God whom God himself adores, because God loves everyone. Think about it. You can't unhear what I'm saying. When you need someone to be something more than what they already are, and you find them lacking, the ego will say, look what's wrong with this person. We don't need to have that person fit our perfect description of what we think they should be, as much as we need to develop new eyes so we can see who is already there. Easier said than done. Agreed. But when you're aware of this, it makes the journey much more meaningful and so much more fun. The change that you want to see in other people actually needs to occur within ourselves first, then miracles happen. I try to coach my team when someone is struggling with how to talk to another team member by sharing with them that you want to say things in a way that people can actually hear you. Otherwise, you're just releasing your own negative energy onto them, and that's not effective. Ask yourself, what is it that you want them to be? Ask yourself, is it true that I also want to be that? Then think about, what's the goal of your comment? To be heard? Or to make yourself feel better about your own negative state? Because I can guarantee you that if you are only trying to make yourself feel better, no one will hear you. This is one of the reasons why I love the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's such a peaceful way to live your life. You know the agreements, right? Number 1, don't take things personally. Number 2, don't make assumptions. Number 3, be impeccable to your word. And number 4, always do your best. Marilyn and I, as Adironda likes to say, have our patootie out flapping in the wind. In other words, because we do step up on the stage and because we do record ourselves on video and distribute it all over the world, in all of our imperfections, we're exposed. We're an open target for both compliments and criticism. And while we love the compliments, who doesn't? The criticism, and yes, people do criticize us, sometimes stings. We're human. We take it seriously, though. Everything someone criticizes us about, we ask ourselves, is this true? Is there any truth in this? Then we fall back on the 4 Agreements. And we ask ourselves, are we taking this comment personally? Hopefully not. Are we making an assumption about what's being said? Or do we need to ask questions for clarity? Were we impeccable with our own words? And if we respond, are we able to respond with love, not taking the criticism personally or making any other assumptions about the comment? And finally, did we do our best? Did we give it our best shot? Or did we fall short and we know it? Recently, we did a 4-day event where we stepped in for a friend of ours at the very last minute. He was going to have to cancel the event, so he asked for our help, and we didn't hesitate. It was a lot of last-minute crazy work to pull it all together on many different levels, rearranging our schedules, getting last-minute flights and hotels, pulling together a 4-day presentation. But we were game to do it and help out. And in the end, Marilyn and I both felt like we had done a really good job. We got rave reviews from many of the attendees. In fact, we're still receiving emails thanking us for the time together. It's been a few weeks now, and just yesterday, I got a negative email. It was coupled with an understanding that we had done things last minute and gratitude for helping our friend out, but this person felt like we could have done better. We weren't enough. She gave us quite a few specifics, all great information, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that it stung just a little bit. I mean, we really did do our best, all things considered. Teddy Roosevelt said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." I think that it's the 5-to-1 ratio of compliments to criticism. When you can think of 5 good things to say, it feels like the person cares about you. They've taken the time to be thoughtful. They're not just releasing negative energy. And while this particular critical email we received did have some valid points, it still felt icky. Now, for what was really interesting. Immediately after the event, while we were in the afterglow, feeling great ourselves, we had just wrapped up those 4 days and we had grabbed a quick Uber to the airport. We were laughing and having a good time, just enjoying life, being silly girlfriends. And our Uber driver was just this really sweet young man. He was quietly listening to us chat. And finally he asked, "Where have you ladies been? You seem so fun." We told him that we're inspirational speakers and we had just wrapped an event and that our job is to help people choose to be happy. Well, this triggered him. His eyes welled up with tears and he said, "I wish I could be happy. I am trying. I really am. But it's a struggle." And then he shared a bit of his story with us and we encouraged him and told him that we knew he would get through it. We just gave him some tips. It was a beautiful 10-minute Uber ride, hearing his story and supporting him as best as we could. Finally, there was a quiet moment, and our friend Connie, who was also with us, said to him, "We love you, Uber driver." She did use his name, but I don't want to get him in trouble. Well, that burst open the well. He really began to cry. It was like he just needed to hear those 3 little words in order to really open his heart and let go of whatever was stuck. Well, we arrived at our destination and he said to us, "I'm not really supposed to do this. Uber doesn't allow it. But can I give you ladies a hug?" Of course we said yes, and he jumped out of the car and hugged all 3 of us together. One giant Uber hug, allowed or not allowed. But that wasn't the only Uber hug. Days later, I had traveled to another city, and once again, I found myself in an Uber heading back to the airport. It was early in the morning, and my Uber driver was pretty quiet. I struck up a conversation with him, asking about his life and did he like being an Uber driver, and he began to share his story with me. His parents had owned a donut shop, and he grew up making donuts. He loved to bake. His parents had recently retired and they sold the shop. And now his dream was to have his own donut shop, a specialty franchise, not like Voodoo Donuts, but even better. He even had an amazing name that I won't give away because it's really good. I kept asking him more questions and just finally supporting his dream, telling him everything is possible, living into his vision with him. And as we pulled up to the curb of the airport, I said, "I believe in you. I can't wait to see your franchise everywhere, and I will tell the story about how you were my Uber driver." Well, that driver jumped out of his car to help me with my luggage, and he said to me, Uber doesn't really allow this, but can I give you a hug? Of course, I said, sure, a big old donut hug. That was some good feedback, right? One moment, in the moment, I'm experiencing people experiencing my energy who want to jump out and give me a hug, versus one email weeks after the moment expressing their disappointment in me. It reminds me of an old Buddhist story about two monks walking together in the woods. They encountered an old woman wading along a quickly moving stream. She asked if they could help her cross the water. Well, Buddhist monks are not supposed to even stand next to a member of the opposite sex, let alone touch one. Yet one of the monks picked her up and carried her across the stream. He sat her down on the opposite bank. And the two Buddhist monks went on their way. They had walked for a few hours together in complete silence. Neither had said anything to the other, which is not unlike monks. Finally, the monk who did not pick up the old woman said to the monk who carried her across the stream, "Why did you carry that woman across the water? We're not supposed to touch women." And the other monk said, "While it's true I did pick her up and carry her across the stream, I put her down on the opposite bank hours ago. Yet here now, much later, you're still carrying that woman." How often and for how long do we hang on to things that we probably should have just put down and left behind? And like so many of our spiritual happy hours, hopefully you hear something that you can't unhear. In this case, it's that all relationships are assignments for growth. Do they result in you expressing a lesson that maybe you get to learn yourself? Did you see something in yourself reflected in that relationship that you feel is lacking? I don't know. I guess I would just say, what was the result? What was the feedback? Did you get an icky response or did you get an Uber hug? Miracles happen when you shift your perception and you realize the change you want to see is a change that occurs inside yourself. Again, lesson 60 in the course is putting what you learn into practice and observing the results, choosing to forgive others and yourself, even if your knee-jerk reaction was to think something was icky. It's okay. Knowing the universe has your back and knowing that all relationships serves a purpose. Did you learn something? Fear is what causes us to react. So what? Someone didn't like you. You could have been better. What good out of the comments can you glean? I say LEDO. That's an acronym for learn from it, drive on. Did someone say something icky to you? It probably wasn't wrapped with a 5-to-1 ratio, but God didn't say it. It's probably something they don't like about themselves. Remember, they're just looking for love too. And finally, the Course reminds you, I am sustained by the love of God. Say it with me. I am sustained by the love of God. So beautiful. Can someone please call me an Uber? Now for the Master Randy Luna and a word from Adironda and the Council of Light.
Ah, so it is good day to you, huh? Oh, we give you an Uber hug, huh? We do love that word Uber, huh? As you see it, this we see you and we welcome you and we welcome you and we welcome you. We welcome each of you out there in the virtual reality. So as you understand, the frequency of communication is exactly what the dearest Joy is talking about, and how you can truly communicate anything when it is wrapped in love. It is even us. People would criticize how we came through the vessel Marilyn and say, well, you don't have to do it that way or you don't have to do it this way. And it is like, if you do not like the way we do something, you do not like the way we show up through our dear vessel Marilyn, go find yourself a new messenger. For you see, many times people are critical of something that they see as a weakness within themselves. And that is why we say, look into yourself. If you are triggered or your buttons are pushed or your energy is pushed on something and you find yourself criticizing the same aspect in one energy or another energy, it is time to turn that mirror around to yourself, because you carry the same attribute. And it is indeed an attribute that you do not necessarily admire in yourself. So with that energy, just trust that you are doing the very best job that you can. And when you have something that you wish to share with someone, think about it. Don't just blurt it out, just helter-skelter, because sometimes that blurting out helter-skelter part is directed back at you. Please remember that. And please understand that in that energy, even the Master Yeshua was criticized by his followers. He was criticized by the people that traveled with him. And they would say, oh, teacher, don't go there. Oh, do this. You should be a lofty person and come in this way. And he was not. Dearly beloveds, it is true. There were many who were traveling with me that asked me to do things differently, asked me to ride into town on a donkey, which I only did once. They would ask me to have a ceremony for my messages, my stories. I did not. You see, I listened to them. I took it inside and asked myself and my Creator, what indeed is the best thing for me to do, for me to be the divine messenger of our Creator, yours and mine. You are placed in very specific situations where you can each be a messenger for humanity. You can be a messenger for God, Father, Source, whatever you say. You are in that particular conversation, Uber car, store, market, or family dinner. To be a messenger of God, to communicate with love, and to remember that the criticism that comes to you may not be about you at all, but it may be about them. But you cannot say that. You must indeed take that suggestion into your heart and ask yourself, ego-free, what are you to learn from this? How can you be better? How can you respond with the love that the other person may be seeking? It is my message and my information that truly everyone wishes to help. Everyone can see something from the outside looking in and think of a different way, the way that indeed they might be doing it. That is humanity. And with that humanity, know that you are in the right place. When our divine link and the joy and sweet Connie witnessed the tears of a young man who was heartbroken. They did not need to know why. They did not need to ask any questions. They did what was needed. They did what their hearts said. To know that he was loved, no matter what. That is what I ask you to do in all situations. To reflect love no matter what. And that changes most everything. Shifts everything. And for that, I am grateful for you. Got to love that, eh? Huh? With that energy. Know and understand that the frequency that all conversations happen is a give and take and a two-way experience. You are either listening or you're not. You are either responding or you're not. You are either reacting or you're not. So with that intonation, with that frequency, know that you can always repeat the line, I am sustained by God. It is something that is in here, holding you, always in love. Dearest beings of light, we are always with you. We love you. We hold you. And we reflect you. We honor you for your courage to be here at these changing times now. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.